This is Boadu TV. Truth and integrity.
Boadu TV, Mamma Nyakabam Fabraso. Na Ghana man panyin John Dramani Mahama, Asian Center for no Kasayeno. Okasembi about National Signals Bureau. Say omo akadia hodo omo machines a omo mudi impanyimfo atem e social media so no. Omo de be hwehwe IP address wo ho na ya bechew. Na sa National Signals Bureau ho ne ye twe Adu Boahen abo so say yesoma no so nkoto sa machine mbra ama tio Emma Attorney General Edine Court say machine no amba yes e won krate mu say machine na mo tuma so nkoto mbra na amba ena Ghana man panyin so ka say ye wo sa machine no ho enti Adom Otchere bisa say hwan na etwa ntoro sisia man panyin ena ne nsem sisusu no wo twa ntoro ana say Attorney General ena wo twa ntoro sisia we ye no enso esi enchen a Adom Otchere aboewura kwame bafo abronye de nam so a ne ye atwe na boso court dina ne bill yes say on konsamra 19th September na say next week oba next week na sanko ye dia na say dai ne dia abronye obeche papa.
And Sansadeli sits in America, and this is his stock in trade. This is what Sansadeli does in America. He doesn't do any story. He doesn't do any news. He doesn't do any research. He picks people, insults them, incites violence, tribe against tribe, calls a tribe that they are stupid. That's what he's been doing over the last 4 years or 3 years, or whenever since that broadcast has been going on. So the president's call is a very good one, and everyone supports it. Because you can't have, those of us who are doing regular news reporting, we have nothing to fear. I'm never going to put or something on social media, hide behind somebody and say that there is violence in Labadi. I can't see myself do that. It's not possible. It's never going to happen. That's not my training. And all those who were trained like me, nobody will do that. So we are never worried about fake news, as it were. And I'm happy that the president of Ghana is happy to deal with fake news. But he mentioned something. He said National Signals Bureau now have an equipment. That equipment appears to fall in the middle of these two gentlemen. First, Adu Boahen, in defense of himself, in relating to the prosecution of a certain 49 million, said in a letter written that money had been used to acquire equipment from an Israeli company. Blah, blah, blah. To do these things President Mahama is talking about. Dominic Aryine, the Attorney General, said that no equipment was procured. Nothing was done. And that is not there. We'll show you a document in a minute about when and how the Attorney General said that. But the president, addressing the press yesterday, seemed to say that National Signals Bureau have an equipment. We know that since January up till now, National Signals Bureau have not acquired any equipment as far as the public procurement process will record. They haven't acquired any equipment. So, that equipment the president is talking about must be, most likely, the same set equipment that Adu Boahen referred to. So, this is an equipment that has been inherited by the new bosses of the National Signals Bureau. And per this equipment, as was set up by Adu Boahen, we are now able to track people using their IP address. So, bad people who hide behind. So you go on Facebook and somebody, you see their names on Facebook, those people, you can tell. You see their name, it says that Kenun Frown, that's his name on Facebook. Or you go to some Facebook account and he says that Malata Crab, that's his name. His name is Malata Crab. Or if you check more, you see something like Konongo Show Boy. You have those kind of names on social media. Apparently, it turns out that a lot of these were used for the election. And I have to say that during the election, a lot of these addresses were used to foment trouble, to generate support for a candidate, to generate hatred against a candidate. All of these things happen in election 2024. I'm delighted that one of the important actors in election 2024, the eventual winner, John Dramani Mahama, president of Ghana, now sets out to deal with this matter, and we are very delighted that it's happening. But it must happen across board. These things have happened. People sit in America, put up a video, and they insult Otchere, they insult Asante Hini, they insult Duncan Williams, They tell some tribe that they are stupid, and they do a lot of these tribal politics in pursuit of a political agenda. We hope this will now be the end. We will be monitoring to see what the government says. The government communication says when they see these things recurring, and some people told me that it will always recur because there's no other content that these people have. They don't have any other content. The only content they have is to insult people and to incite hatred. That's the quickest way to get views on social media when you are in an election frenzy. So this is very good. But the truth of the matter is that what President Mahama said appears to be the equipment that Adu Boahen procured. Let's look at the letter from the Dominic Aryine part of it. Let's look at the Dominic Aryine part of it. So it's here. Dominic Aryine said to the media that further investigations have revealed that no cybersecurity system of the description in the January 30, 2020 contract was ever received by the Bureau of National Communications or by its successor agency, the National Signals Bureau, or by the government of Ghana. An inventory confirmation from the National Security Secretariat shows that the equipment was never received into stores, as is the practice in the public service. So Dominic Aryine is talking about this equipment that was not received. Adu Boahen said that an equipment had been procured, which allows the system to monitor things, use IP address to find people who want to foment trouble. The Honorable Attorney General says nothing had been procured. Let's get to the letter that you were showing me now. Yes, okay. Do we have it removed? Okay, so there's a letter from ICS Holding International. They are international security consulting, and they write to Samuel Atachan, who is lawyer for Adu Boahen. And they say, response to your mail dated so-and-so, delivery of cyber security equipment to Ghana's national security, and a defamatory statement of and concerning blah, blah, blah. Okay, they have the letter here. Let's look at it. Greetings from the International Security Consultant, ICS, an international security consulting firm incorporated under the law of Israel with headquarters in Israel. First, we take this opportunity to emphasize that our response refers to Mr. Adu Boahen during his duty as the Director General of the National Signals Bureau. Our company operates globally in the field of security consultancy. The management... okay, let's turn it over for me. Ooh, that's my screen frozen. Okay, let me just get... Okay, yeah. The management of which does something high-level security projects and the training specialization. Okay, our consultants are seasoned, blah, blah, blah. We are known for delivering confidential, cutting-edge security, blah, 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 including third-party. Okay, now this is the important part. We hereby declare, and for the avoidance of any doubt, all cyber defense systems procured by the NSB, supplied under a confidential agreement signed on January 30, 2020, with an associated continuing service covenant, were fully delivered to Ghana's national security. So, it suggests that this equipment is most likely what President Mahama is praising and relying on for the purpose of finding cyber criminals who pollute our news with fake news that can divide our people. It's almost certain that this is the equipment that President Mahama was referring to. Now, this is the equipment that has generated controversy in the trial, where the Attorney General says no equipment was delivered. The people who were set to supply the equipment said the equipment had been delivered. We still don't know whether it was delivered or wasn't delivered. But from what the President said last night at his press conference, it appears that yes, the equipment was delivered. So the big question is it the equipment that the Attorney General said never arrived that President Mahama is referring to? Or is it another equipment that has been procured recently? Unlikely, because there's not been any procurement by any government agency since the government started. Not many, but certainly not National Signals Bureau. So it will appear, as they say, vindication is in the womb of time, that Adu Boahen may be right. That he said that we use the money to buy the equipment. The equipment is there. The National Signals Bureau are using it. President Mahama said they now have an equipment to do X, Y, Z. Is that not so? Okay, we'll keep an eye on this one. There's another matter relating to this. Justice Remsai, the Deputy Attorney General, says that counsel for the accused persons, the Honorable Atachan, throws matters in case to the media and puts pressure on the case. Justice Remsai is concerned, and legitimately so, that Justice Remsai is the Deputy Attorney General. He is concerned, and legitimately so, that the learned Atachan here is throwing the cases into the media, like I'm doing now. I'm talking about the case. The other day, Captain Smart was talking about the case. The other day, Black Rasta was talking about the case against Adu Boahen from Iyoko. Black Rasta has a dossier of something Iyoko has told him, and he's consistently churning out narratives against Kwabena Adu Boahen and against his innocence. So that's in the media. Now, that media of Black Rasta is not coming from Otchere. In any case, Justice Sremsai, it was your boss, Dominic Aryine, who first held a press conference and put the matter in the public domain. I don't think Otchere has held a press conference to say anything about this matter. Otchere has not. Otchere has only granted interviews when he leaves court. But because the case has been made a high-profile case by Sremsai and his boss, the Attorney General, they hold press conference. Well, it's been a while since Attorney General did one, but he was holding press conferences. Many members of the Bar Association who are unaligned. I think the bar must form a non-aligned bar because, you see, this is just a passing comment. There's NDC Lawyers Association. I'm guessing they formed that because they were reacting to MPP Lawyers Association. There has to be the non-aligned movement of the Ghana Bar Association. Are you there? Barristers who are non-aligned. Can you form the non-aligned Ghana Bar Association? So, naturally, lawyers from both NDC and MPP were concerned that the Attorney General is putting up these matters in the public domain, and there's not the best way to handle criminal prosecutions. So that raised the stakes. When you raise the stakes like that, journalists are very likely to go to Otchere and says that, but the Attorney General says your client has stolen money. And Otchere will say, no, he hasn't. Come to my office and I'll show you the document. And they are entitled to that. It's a democracy. And the media expression is an integral part of the democratic expression. So Justice Sremsai, the Deputy Attorney General, please calm down. Otchere has not done anything wrong. Media will forever go and look for the information from Otchere. They will. Because Dominic Aryine tells us a side of the story. So we always need to get the other side of the story. All the time pattern, isn't it? Hear the other side. So we always need the other side of the story. Because Dominic Aryine has told us his side of the story. He's a prosecutor. He's told us his side of the story. If you are a journalist, you don't just want to run with that. You want to hear Otchere's side of the story, and then you can decide which one you are publishing at the risk of being contemptuous of the court. That's what happens to all media houses. That's what happens. So I saw the comments, and I thought I should just calm down Justice Sremsai. He should calm down. He should calm down. There's a long road ahead. We're going to walk that road. We are not anywhere yet. We're just 8 months into the agenda, into the reset agenda. So he should calm down. Otchere hasn't done anything wrong. And that will end the conversation on Kwabena Adu Boahen. And now let's come to the big issue. Yesterday at the press conference, there was another very big issue. What is it? Two things were going to always come up in this press conference. We were disappointed, though. I was disappointed that the question about presidential jets didn't find its way. And I saw that there were many journalists who had their hands up. They couldn't be called because of lack of time and choices and all of that. So I think that the question maybe was in one of those hands and it was buried. But anyway, it didn't come. Two questions that came. The question on Galamsey, which was a very big story, has always been a big story, and it was always going to come. The Mr. President was aware that Galamsey was always going to come. He was very aware. The other one that came was the suspension, the removal. That's the word that is used. The removal of the Lord Chief Justice, Justice Tokonu, from office, pursuant to Article 146 process. This thing was loaded, but it had a fundamental yes or no in it. The fundamental yes or no arose out of the narrative that the Galamsey menace that we have been experiencing over the last 20 years can be stopped, ended, terminated by a presidential decision to impose a state of emergency. You can agree with that. A state of emergency would mean, like those of you who are old enough when COVID came, what we went through during COVID, you can't move, you can't this, you can't that, you can't that. So when you impose a state of emergency in the areas where there's Galamsey, it is illegal for people to be moving in those areas, and therefore the security forces take over, and people who are seen to be moving would have committed an offense. That's the point. That's the point about state of emergency. And it sounded very plausible and sensible to many of us who were worried about the Galamsey menace. Now, why doesn't the president just impose a state of emergency? A state of emergency is usually a final resort for something that you can't do anything about. And we all believe that at that time, 2022, 2023, we had gotten to the point where the government's efforts had failed, and therefore we needed to put a state of emergency and stop it. Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa, says, declare a state of emergency now, President Akufo-Addo. Current Minister for Education, Idrisu Haruna, a state of emergency must be declared now. The most significant, current Minister for Lands, the Honorable Ama Kofi Boa of Elembele, nice man. He said the only solution is to declare a state of emergency. Honorable Kofi Boa has become Lands Minister. Today, he's in charge of it. He thought that the solution was a state of emergency. He was clear in his mind, and we all agree with him that the solution is to declare a state of emergency. He's today Lands Minister. Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa said that you have to declare a state of emergency not tomorrow, not 3 days' time, not next week, but now. Now, declare. Today, he's Minister for Foreign Affairs. Sam Nate George led a demonstration with Ghana flag around him. Said that President Akufo-Addo must declare a state of emergency. Today, he's a Minister for Communication. The question was put to the president yesterday. Given the escalated concerns about Galamsey in terms of the damage that it is doing, it's doing more damage today than, if you do a year-on-year analysis, Galamsey is doing more damage in September 2025 than it did in September 2024. If you go to year-on-year, July 2024 to July 2025, you will find 2025 worse. Almost every indicator about Galamsey is worse today. Later on, I'll read to you Erastus Asare Donko's Facebook post, and you'll see it. So the question was put to His Excellency the President, who was running this campaign. Last night, this is what President John Dramani Mahama said.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort.
So indicated that the state of emergency was not something they were considering because it has economic implications. Yesterday, President Mahama addressed other economic implications, the employment situation created by Galamsey. If they do a state of emergency, all of these people are going to stay at home, they are going to contribute to robbery, etc. The jury is out there on the answers the president gave for the Galamsey issue. Let's see what some civil society actors said. First, we begin. Now, let me have the president. First, we begin with the president as it was over there. Yes, this is what was captured by 3 News. He said, I've been reluctant to declare a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we haven't exhausted the powers we even have without the state of emergency. I was listening to Joy this evening. I saw somebody, I heard somebody from Forestry Commission really struggling to make the point. The interviewer was very hard on him. That what are you talking about? And civil society this morning, or across the networks on radio stations, have been very upset. They've been terribly upset. They're all very angry about the president's answers. What do they say? Do you have some for me? Let's go to the civil society one. They're going to put it up, and then we look at it. This is the first one. This is by Manasseh Azuri. It's not that long. Let's read it. President Mahama has been brilliant tonight. From his first term and now, President Mahama has always demonstrated a strong grasp on all the sectors. He is not the kind that can be easily fooled by a minister or an appointee. On Galamsey, however, he has been very disappointing. The decay did not start in the last 8 years of Akufo-Addo. As the president said, I was a journalist when President Mahama was president. In his first term, I did not see the seriousness in fighting the menace, and his body language doesn't seem to show that it will be any different. The land that is destroyed because of Galamsey can produce food crops, so we should stop creating the impression that the only alternative to illegal mining is deviant acts, as the president said. why disband the IGP's task force instead of just asking them to verify permits when they visit a site? Which sites did the task force invade that turned out to be a legitimate mining concession? Mr. President, so far you have done well. Ghanaians are beginning to hope again in many sectors. But unless after listening, I don't get that word, but after listening to you tonight in the fight against Galamsey, I feel more hopeless after listening to you tonight. That is from investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri telling President Mahama that after the answers he heard the president give, he, Manasseh, feels hopeless. Okay, this one is my best. It comes from Suleiman Brima, who is the Media Foundation for West Africa's executive secretary. He says, Akufo-Addo fought Galamsey harder than Mahama's current government. Suleiman Brima fires. The other day, I said, one day, it's turning out to be sooner than I thought. We will come back and talk about Akufo-Addo. One day, very soon, when things settle, and we now can feel, and I've seen it. I saw the berating of J.A. Kufuor in 2008, what everybody said. Today, everybody says Kufuor is a hero. We will come back and see that sometimes the heat of the situation, sometimes the anti-propaganda, which can be vile, can even be evil, it can cloud our imaginations given the economic circumstance. And then it sort of takes away the real judgment that we should deliver. Otherwise, how is Suleiman Brima? I'm not done with Suleiman Brima. Let me finish it. How is Suleiman Brima talking about Akufo-Addo in a positive light in reference to John Dramani Mahama? It is only because he has seen John Dramani Mahama's governance, he's seen Akufo-Addo's governance, and so he sits in a position to be able to do the analysis. And in his context, relating to Galamsey, which is one of the pivotal points for which the NPP lost the election, one of the pivotal points for which Dr. Bawumia was outvoted and people didn't even turn up, one of the pivotal points which was heaped on Akufo-Addo, and it was said that Akufo-Addo's presidency is the worst that Ghana has ever had. Worst that Ghana has ever had. The one who introduced a major social intervention policy. They said that his government is the worst that Ghana has had. And that was heaped on Dr. Bawumia, of course. Today, in September, Suleiman Brima says, Akufo-Addo fought Galamsey harder than Mahama's current government. Ooh. Is it true? I don't believe it. Is it true? Let's go to Ken Ashigbe, what he said. Ken Ashigbe said something. Yes. He said, the story is that, he says, President Mahama's response on Galamsey fights is disappointing. The Ghana Coalition of Galamsey has criticized President John Dramani Mahama's response to the country's ongoing illegal mining crisis, describing his comments during Wednesday's presidential encounter as uninspiring and failing to reflect the urgency of the environmental emergency facing the nation. That's Ken Ashigbe. I'm not saying much. I'm just relying on people. This is the most interesting one. It's by Erastus Asare Donko. And please get me the Shamima Muslim's response to the thing, the one I sent you. We'll do that. Miracle Sabwaji has been tagging Shamima Muslim with her post of 2024 about Galamsey. And Shamima has written a response. I like viewers to see that. Shamima Muslim is the deputy government spokesperson at the office of the president. Miracle Sabwaji is Dr. Bawumia's spokesperson. Erastus Asare Donko, a journalist who has distinguished himself and gained significant reputation for focusing on environmental issues. And he's almost the authority on Galamsey in terms of reporting and in terms of knowing what is really happening. I'm happy that the coalition works with him and everyone works with him. I'm happy that multimedia have given him a space to be able to do the environmental thing. It's very, very nice. I like that. Erastus Asare Donko, congratulations. He says as follows: the president did not inspire hope and urgency in the fight against Galamsey. He watered down on a very precious situation just as he has done always. I don't know whether that's fair. He said he watered down on a very precious situation just as he has done always. The always part, I'm not sure about it. Erastus, always means what? Yes, precarious. He watered down a very precarious situation, just as he has done always. It's the always that I'm concerned about. The always, I don't know where it's coming from, but I don't know how fair that is. Let's move on. His posture reflected complicity on the infractions on the ground, whistling down a decapitation to a broken arm. I totally disagree with him on the withdrawal of the IGP's men and accusing them of not knowing the difference between legal small-scale miners and illegal miners. That is a total fallacy. It shows, Erastus says, that is either the president was ill-briefed about the situation in the ground, or he was totally clueless of what happens on the ground. Or maybe he is also joining the bandwagon of deliberate spinning of falsehoods in a bid to give the dog a bad name to hang it, unquote. Erastus goes further. He says, I challenge the president to name a single licensed small-scale mining entity that is mining responsibly on the ground. What is a small-scale mining entity doing, he asked, in a forest reserve when the law does not give permits to same to mine in a forest reserve? Who licensed small-scale mining companies to be mining inches away from the rivers Pra, Ankobra, Tano, Ofin, Ayensu, Bia? Ofin and the others were the task force. Ofin and the others where the task force arrested them. In a normal civilized society, it is not the police that is clothed with law enforcement. In a normal civilized society, he asked, is it not the police that is clothed with law enforcement? How different are nature crimes from the armed robberies that the police fight? When the president says, quote, every policeman gets up and goes after illegal miners, by unquote, by implication, he's saying that nature crimes are no longer crimes at the local level unless identified by NIMOS. That's the Blue Water people, I believe. Is the president respectfully asking local police to stay away from nature crimes, and for that matter, Galamsey, just like it happened under the previous administration? It's equally disappointing to hear the president say, quote, we can't be chasing after them when we have not provided them alternatives, unquote. Excuse me to say, he says, it's just like telling the armed robbers, money doublers, and scammers to continue with their criminal activity until government finds employment for them. I'm sorry, he says, this is not the president of a country that has more than 60% of its water bodies polluted and laden with heavy metals. This, he continues, is not the president of a country with 44 of its forest reserves attacked in a spate of 8 years. He says further, this is not the president of a country whose towns and villages and highways have been taken over by haphazard illegal mining. This is not the president of a country whose muddy rivers are polluted the sea. This is not the president of a country whose forest reserves are turning into miles of pits and gullies waiting for another generation to seek loans to reclaim them. This is definitely not the president of a country whose newborn babies are registering childhood cancers, deformities, and strange ailments from irresponsible mining. This is not the president of a country that is worried about the grave environmental suicide, crippling cocoa production, and contaminating its cocoa exports. The IGP's men did a good job. They were fearless. They have their flaws, but they brought the nonsense under control. Mr. President, some of your party executives and appointees who were not happy with the way they were pouring sand in their gari started a propagandist agenda to give the dog a bad name and to hang it. Today, as I write after the president's submissions and compromised, in quote, compromised position on Galamsey, Many illegal miners are meeting in Samamboy and other areas. They say they've been asked to go back and erode the gains we made. Let's serve a warning. Mr. President, you are repeating the mistakes of the previous regime and you know the consequences. I find it a bit lame, some of your answers to the questions on Galamsey. We all know that Blue Water Guard is not the solution to mining on water bodies. The solution lies in a strong statement that certain areas are no-go areas for mining. My worry is that we have a citizenry so divided by partisan politics that they reason like blind people to the truth about their very existence. The future of generations is being decimated. Instead of looking at the bigger picture, many Ghanaians are minding their own business. Those who speak are only seeking partisan leverages to please the political class. Some of us will continue to push strongly the situation on the ground and do our bit as journalists. The media we have consistently is failing this country. If only we would be serious about this, we could help push us all towards responsible mining. An epistle from the very disappointed, frustrated, and angry journalist in the mines, Erastus Asaridonko of the Multimedia Group. That's his epistle. Frustrated, angry about the situation. Bottom line, the police have been asked to leave. Apparently, they were asked to leave in the previous regime as well. But they've been asked to leave. And this is the issue. Where are the voices? Where is Sam George? Where is Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa? I didn't see him in the room. I don't know whether he's there. Maybe he's traveled. The lands minister, the man in charge, the Honorable Amako Fibua, said there should be a state of emergency. The party chair, Johnson Asidu Ketia, says they cannot do a state of emergency. I'm not saying they should do a state of emergency. I believe the president spoke the truth. But the truth he spoke today is being compared with the truth that they put out yesterday. And one truth is becoming deficit of truth. One truth is losing the truth deficit. It's getting more deficit of truth, even though it is also called truth. That's a lesson we can talk about another day. Related to this Galamsey story, and I've ended the Galamsey story. Related to the Galamsey story is the excavator. Thank you very much. I like this one. I want Shamima's response. Do you have it? I believe they do. They have it. Yes. Okay, great. Let me go to this one first. So earlier today, as they are all doing, give me the red one first. Miracles Aboaje put up this post of the deputy government spokesperson today, Shamima Muslim. It is posted on 11 September 2024. And this is what she says. She's reporting something from the Ghana Journalists Association. She says, declare state of emergency over water bodies. GJA to President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. LI 2462 must be repealed. The MPP must face strict accountability on this matter. Should we replace the word MPP here and put NDC here? Should we replace President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia and put President Mahama and Jenana Opoku-Agyeman? We can easily do that. This was September 11th. It is September 11th, a year on year. It's very easy to do that, and it will still make sense. It will make perfect sense if we say, declare a state of emergency over water bodies. GJA to President Mahama and Professor Jenana Opoku-Agyeman. LI 2462 must be repealed. The NDC must face strict accountability on this matter. That's what Shamima Muslim posted a year ago. At all material times, we knew that the campaign was not being conducted in a way that will give all of us peace. Because we knew that the way the campaign is being conducted, where truth is given very little opportunity, tomorrow will be pregnant. And that's where we are. Our tomorrow has started. It's not ending anytime soon. It's just started. This is Shamima Muslim. But to be fair to her, she responded. This is what she said. She said, I have seen, as always, a coordinated ambrag from, am I pronouncing the word well? from, quote, they who must never be criticized, unquote. For the avoidance of doubt, I respectfully own this statement. Thank you, Shamima. Posted from a GJA press conference on 11 September 2024, reiterating national calls for amplified actions after the collapse of multiple anti-Galamsey campaigns of the NPP government. If it comes to the point where the conditions and complicities that existed then arise in the current approach towards the menace, be assured that I will make the same, even stronger statement on my own accord. Until then, let the advocacy continue whilst government listens and acts and communicates its actions and results. May our dear country stand ready to overcome this menace. Hashtag, she says, Karma hasn't left his home yet. It remains safely tagged in the trunk of his winning symbol. Thank you for your kind attention. Okay, so Shamima Muslim says that she still stands by the statement, but the circumstances of today does not make it relevant for a state of emergency to be declared, if I'm paraphrasing her well. But this is what she said. But is it not very interesting? The same date, 11th of September 2024. 11th of September 2024, nobody knew that a year from this time, that the Prophet Roger said that a year from this time, John Mahama will be president, he will give a press conference, and he will say that he doesn't have to declare a state of emergency. Prophet Roger didn't see it, Prophet W didn't see it, Prophet Y didn't see it. No one saw it coming. So it's quite interesting the way life throws these things at us. And when you become an adult, you get humbled, don't you? You get humbled. How life can throw these things at us. Did we know? This is 11 September 2024. The campaign was up in arms. It was feisty. Shamima Muslim was on the campaign trail for the NDC. She was punching hard the Galamsey balloon. Everybody punched hard into the Galamsey balloon. And they knew that Ghanaians were unhappy with the color of the water that Erastus was showing on his broadcast. They knew that if Ghanaians were to be told that this was NPP and Akufo-Addo's problem, they will vote against them and they'll vote in the NDC. They knew that. Did they also know that you don't have to do a state of emergency? That sometimes the police go and they are chasing minors anyhow. Did they know that? I leave that for you viewers. Very little for me to say. But this is the post. This is an interesting video. I'll be reading the comments when we put up the video on this one to see where it is. Then there's another matter. Excavators. Hey, this matter. He rose up one morning to find that Ghana, our beloved country, is importing excavators like crazy. Chese, excavators are coming into the country left, right, center. These excavators you see on the TV by the Joy News video, they were being moved from the port in the night. The transport minister has explained that it was creating congestion. So they were trying to create space. And so they moved it to a safe military base in Tema. Michel Camp it was. All of these excavators have been imported. By whom? Because of what? And I mean, this very situation should cause us concern. We are importing 200,000 excavators into the country. That's the number they give us. 200,000. What are they going to do? And it's not coming because it's not coming from the road minister. 200 of it come one day, one single day. Today is Thursday. So today, 200. Yesterday, 200. Excavators. Who are these people who are finding the confidence to import the excavator? Can we just publish the names of the owners of the excavators that came into Ghana over the last 5 months? Can we do that? Should we not do that? Just go ahead and publish the names and the company names. So journalists can call them and say that you are a company and so you imported excavators, 6 of it. What are you going to use it for? You are a service delivery company. You are an IT company. You have imported excavators, or you are an individual, Mr. Individual. You are a lawyer in Ashanti region. Why have you imported 5 excavators? What are you going to use it for? If the government really wants to solve this problem, that's what they should do. Publish. Publish who brought in those excavators. How much was paid at the port? How much money has the port made from importing those excavators? and allow media people, news reporters, to now be able to engage with those members of the public who are responsible for the 200 excavators every day. Do they have political cover? Do they have military cover? Do they have security cover? Is that the reason why they are confidently importing excavators? Do they know some people in Jubilee House? What is happening? What is happening? Look at it. What's Abroye being charged with?
Abroye is being charged with two things mainly. The first is publication of false news with intent to cause fear and panic, contrary to sections 208 and sections 123 of the Electronic Transaction Act. And then the second offense is offensive conduct conducive to breaches of peace, contrary to section 207 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. And so basically, for this statement, that is publication of false news with intent to cause fear and panic, he alleges that the accused person, that is Abroye DC, stated that the IGP, that is Yohonu, had met with NDC operatives in Akwetia in the turn-up to the elections, the Akwetia by-elections, which obviously would be the argument of the state in this instance that may have created fear and panic. And secondly, on this, the particulars of the second offense is that he, on his show, made certain offensive statements against the IGP.
Abroye is 29 years old.
He's not 29 years old. In fact, there were some inconsistencies here. It provided that he was 29, and then here it said he was 37.
Okay.
But those are
all right.
Those that
matters. Okay.
They may deal with. And that he made certain statements that IGP Tete Yohono collected bribe.
From whom?
From members of the. He says he made the statements that he is the most corrupt IGP in Ghana's history. And so, as to the specifications of whom he collected the bribe for and for what specific purpose, we do not know. But he says he's a bribe taker and he is corrupt in nature. And so, per the police charge sheet, they are claiming that these are statements that are not conducive, or that are conducive to the breach of the peace, to which these are statements that carry or have the propensity of causing a breach or a breakdown in peace and security, which is quite interesting. And so at the last court sitting, when they went to court the last time, the lawyers for Abroye made an application for bail. In fact, he appeared because he had been apprehended and kept for 48 hours. In Ghana, the law is that if you are caught for any offense, you must be kept for 48 hours maximum before you are brought before a court of competent jurisdiction for the court to give you bail. And so if an individual is arrested anywhere, the police has no right to keep him for more than 48 hours before he is brought before a court of competent jurisdiction. And this is the combined effect of Article 14 and Article 19 of the Constitution. And so that is what they adhered to. The court, the circuit court, denied the bail application of counsel for Abroye and remanded him to appear, that is tomorrow. In fact, the police made a claim or made the case that they need more time to investigate the charges they have proffered against Abroye, which is quite interesting because these are charges that hinge on an act. So if you see a video of me insulting the president and say that the president is whatever, and you charge me for offensive conduct conducive to a breach of the peace, all you need is the video. You have seen me in the video, you have kept me, you have asked me questions. I do not know which other investigations the police intends to conduct into this matter, but that was the case that was made before court, and so they told the court that they want to keep, or Abroye has to be kept in custody to tomorrow. And so this is the offense in Act 29, Section 207. It says that a person who in a public place or at a public meeting uses threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior, and this is where it's very interesting, with intent to provoke a breach of the peace, or by which a breach of the peace is likely to be occasioned, commits a misdemeanor. Now, in Ghana's rank of offenses, we have a first-degree felony, we have a second-degree felony, and we have a misdemeanor. Misdemeanor is what we would say an offense that is the least serious of offenses we have. And so the maximum per Act 30 for keeping somebody upon conviction is 3 years. That is, unless another law specifically mandates that even though an offense is a misdemeanor, the person can be kept for more years. And then this is Section 208. It says a person who publishes or reproduces a statement, rumor, or report which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report is false, commits a misdemeanor. So this also is a misdemeanor. I do not see how, but this is a value judgment. I do not see how saying that the IGP is corrupt may lead to a breakdown in security or public security. But I think these are opportunities to test the legal system and see
well, perhaps the point is people will lose confidence in the IGP and they'll take the law into their own hands. Perhaps, I mean, you want to stretch it.
Yeah, but that's the point, stretching. So in the US, they had occasion to decide a similar offense. And it was in the Supreme Court. In fact, the Justice Thurgood Marshall, who was the first black justice of the American Supreme Court, sat on that matter. And it was the case of Papa Christo versus Jacksonville.
Are you talking about Chief Justice John Marshall?
Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood.
No, not John Marshall, the old one.
1972,
no.
so
Thurgood, the first black.
Okay.
In fact, he
Clarence Thomas is not the first black.
No, Clarence Thomas is the second. Thurgood Marshall was the first. So Thurgood Marshall died, and Clarence was appointed to sort of replace to keep that balance on the bench.
Okay, I see.
So in this case,
what's the name? What do you pronounce that
Papa
name?
Christo. It's Greek.
It sounds like Ghanaian, Papa Christo. Okay.
The city of Jacksonville.
Yeah. And what
so the
happened
city of Jacksonville had enacted a law that banned what we call it had a vagrancy clause. So people who loiter, people who are found walking aimlessly, it made that a criminal offense.
In which state?
It was in the city of Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, okay.
Yeah. And so the matter went up to the Supreme Court. And
Federal
the
Supreme Court.
Federal. It was a bench of 7.
Okay.
Justice Rehnquist and another judge did not sit, but it was 7. 7-0 majority. The Supreme Court in the United States held that any law that gives law enforcement agencies the room and the wherewithal to convict as and when they wish is vague and consequently should be declared as unconstitutional. There was an attempt to apply this in Ghana in the case of Chachuchikata versus the Attorney General, where Chachuchikata sought to pray before the Supreme Court that the offense of willfully causing financial loss to the state is unconstitutional because it's vague, willful, and all that. But the Supreme Court held that we can interpret what willful is. We can interpret what causing loss is. And so in that instance, that attempt to
causing loss is a mathematical outcome.
It's a mathematical outcome. And so you look at the fact that maybe procurement laws were not followed, and consequent to that, there was a loss occasion to the state. And so it is simple.
The contract was not done.
It wasn't done. It wasn't done properly. It didn't go to Parliament. There was no opportunity for it to be audited. You would bypass your chief director of the ministry, all those things. And so the Supreme Court in this instance did not apply the vague test, the test of vagueness in Ghana. However, it does not mean that that argument is lost on us, because the general principle in criminal law is that criminal laws are supposed to be interpreted strict and firm. And so, for instance, it's similar to the Bible. When God gave Moses about over 600 laws, the rationale behind God giving Moses and the Israelites those laws was to ensure that things were very, very specific. So, for instance, there was not a lot of room for Aaron and the prophets to do a lot of interpretation in those things. So God will say, if you wear a garment where 2 fabrics are mixed, you must be stoned. If a male wears a female attire, you must be stoned to death. That's the nature of criminal law. And so it raises a jurisprudential discussion as to whether a law that says that law enforcement agents can say that any act which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public or disturb the public peace knowing or having reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report is false. We should have the debate that does it give law enforcement agents a lot of room?
The discretion is in the word likely.
Likely.
But the report which is likely, that's what the discretion is.
Yes, the discretion.
Because then they make the determination whether this report is likely.
Yes.
The likelihood, using the word likely to apply to an offense,
it's a problem. Because an offense
the word likely cannot be applied to an offense. Offense is specific.
Yeah. So, for instance, if you look at the definition of murder in section 46 of Act 29, it says that a person who causes harm unlawfully to another person, and that harm causes the death of that person, commits murder. It's a simple and straightforward. But in this instance, by you giving law enforcement agencies the room to make that determination may be a problem. So I think that it is true, publication of false news must be, or publication of false news that indeed has the potential to...
It's a concern,
it's,
yes.
It's a concern. It's
Yeah.
a public concern. I think what the law-making body, that the legislature, should do is have a more expansive definition of what publication of false news is. And so...
And more specific.
And more specific. So what publication is, the various media that publication may be done, the specific statements that qualify, and maybe putting something else that is false. And when we even say likely, what is it? Are they... So for a very good example is Rwanda. After the genocide, they were specific on issues. So if you go to the Rwanda, their laws are specific. They'll tell you that issues relating to tribe,
You cannot talk about
you cannot talk about it. So here, we now have to have a discussion. Is it inciting?
And even which people qualify to be prosecuted? Because if I stand here and say Minister XY has done this,
Yeah.
it carries more weight than a young man playing, do you know what totals is? The ball, for playing totals at circle and says that, oh, this minister has done that.
Yeah, the circumstances.
Yes, the way you approach my saying it should be completely different
from
you approach a young man who is saying it. Or some young man running to a political rally, shaking his flag and saying something about other people.
Exactly.
It's very different from a journalist who sits on the media and says this, or even if he puts on his Facebook page because of his following. All of that must be defined in the law. Yeah, the delimitation of who can do what is very important.
And so someone may raise the argument that, oh, but in any case, it is the courts or a court of competent jurisdiction that will make
that
it,
will determine the likely.
The likely. But the thing is, before the court would even make the decision, most likely you would have been arrested. You would have been put through all that stress. You would have had to incur costs to get legal counsel. You would have been going up and down. Your bail may be denied. You understand? So all those things also factor in.
So what's before the courts tomorrow?
Tomorrow he's remanded to appear before court, and most likely his lawyers would make a repeat application for bail. However, the state, the prosecution, still argues that they need more time for the purpose of investigations. No witness statement has been filed, disclosures have not been made, and so we wait to see.
So where is he being kept?
For that, I would suspect it's the CID headquarters, because I noticed that the former Attorney General, Honorable Godfrey Dame, was there today. In fact, there was a video of him being ushered to one of the buildings. But even before, I watched the video of the lawyer representing him, one lawyer, I think Daniel, at a firm in Accra, whose name I may not have permission to mention. So, and mentioned that even before they got the location of where he was, it was a bit of a problem, and all.
So it's not clear where they are keeping him.
But it says he's now had access to him, but initially was what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Initially. And so most likely he would appear in court, the circuit court, tomorrow. And then these matters.
Circuit court what?
Circuit court 9. It's at Accra Central.
All right, thank you. Good luck. Let's see what happens, and then we'll deal with it.